Alright guys, welcome back to a brand new series that I am trying out over here on my channel. And today we're going to be looking at how to get a 50 bomb, and that is the easiest way to drop a 50 bomb that I have found. And I'm going to be going over some really easy tips and tricks that I have found that I can give to you guys that will help. So on screen here you see the class setup that I used for this video. I want you right now to take it all in, to absorb it, to look at it, because we're going to be going over this very carefully. So as you guys can see, as a primary I'm using the VMP, and that's because it's a very close range gun. It has a very high rate of fire with a pretty modest recoil and a good amount of power. Now, that being said, I do like to use the laser sight on it to keep my hip fire sprays a bit more accurate. I also like to use stock so I can be really strafing in and out of cover and making sure that the enemy has a hard time acquiring me. And then the third attachment I'm using is quick draw, so I can get my hands up real fast before my enemy and hopefully get the first shot on him. Now, as a secondary, as you guys can see, I'm using the RK5. Now, I actually don't use that at all in this gameplay, I think, and part of it had to get cut out just for time reasons, so it could fit in my voiceover, but I don't think I use the RK5 at all, and but I just use that because I had an extra class slot. And then for lethals, I use no lethals, no grenades, and then I use one tactical magazine concussion, as you guys can see, and I'll explain why in a couple minutes. Now, for perks, which is probably the most important part, even more so than the gun, for perk 1, I use Afterburner, which helps me really just boost around the map, get up in your face really quickly, and that pairs really well with the DMP, being a fast class setup. Now, for my second perk, I'm using Scavenger, which pairs really nicely with the concussions, because you can throw a concussion, as you can see here, and now I'm going to run over somebody's dead body, and I'll pick up another one, and I'll just be able to continuously stun for the entirety of my life until I run out of stuns, which will never happen really. And then for my third perk, I'm using Blast Suppressor, because if you're using Afterburner, you're most likely going to be boosting around a lot, and you don't want those boosts pinging on your enemy's minimap, showing them where you are. So I love using Blast Suppressor. It's just a nice piece of equipment that just helps keep you really silent on the map while still being able to aggressively charge them and spawn trap. Now, getting into the style of play, it's pretty obvious based on the class setup that we have going on that we're going for a very aggressive style. I mean, up in your face, really making sure that the enemy isn't comfortable, and that pairs really well with the laser sight, using hip fire a lot. And just make sure that when you're doing this, you're using a couple key features that you can utilize in Black Ops 3. Those key features are boost sliding. As you see, I'm always trying to boost slide into hard points, make sure that my enemy has a hard time acquiring me, make sure I'm moving fast, and I'm kind of moving almost too fast for myself to handle, but just enough that I can, stay comfortable with the controls. Another thing I like to do is the wall running. Now, it kind of seems goofy, like it just seems like that's just another way to move, but it's actually really effective. You notice every time I come out of spawn, I come out through wall run. And that's because I want to make sure that I'm coming in at a different level than the enemy's looking. If you're just standing there, straight forward, you are looking at your eye level. And you're going to be right on the same level with anybody who has their feet on the ground. Anybody who's got their feet a decent amount above the ground, wall running or boost jumping, you're going to have a hard time picking up. So, by getting up in the air, getting above the enemy's eye level, I'm able to stay above them and get more kills and, drop down without them noticing me as much. So, like this title mentions, this is about dropping a 50 bomb. This is not about getting a good KD. I believe I end this game with a 58 and 52. And you might say 52 deaths, that's garbage. Well, the other thing that's impressive about this is I got 8,200 points, at the end of the game. So that translates into a buttload of XP. And XP, as you guys know, is good for leveling up, so it doesn't really matter if you don't have the best KD in a game if you're getting 8,200 score, because that is freakish. I probably couldn't do 8,200 every game, but I do it some games, and I tell you, I think I got something like 2,500 XP this game from just doing everything I can, playing objectives, getting kills. And I didn't really care about my KD. I don't really care about my KD at all. It's just kind of a stat, not really a big factor for me. But if it is a big factor for you, maybe you don't want to be pushing up as hard as I am. Maybe you want to stay back a bit, and that's just how you can kind of raise your KD. You might sacrifice a couple of kills, but, you know, adjust this to your personal playstyle. Now, the next thing I wanted to mention is score streaks. You guys can see, because I'm on Nuketown, you're never going to really be getting super high score streaks, or at least I am if you're going to be playing this type of game mode, because, or this type of game style, excuse me, because you're always rushing, you're going to be dying a lot. I believe I get 2 UAVs this game and 1 Hellstorm. Maybe a couple of those got cut out by the cut I had to make for time. But I did not drop the wraps. I usually just have the wraps up there for games like Safeguard, where, you know, it's easier to get high scores. But as you guys can see, I'm playing Hardpoint, and it's so nice that now Nuketown recently got added to most of the core list map rotations. So now you can just go into Hardpoint, and eventually you'll get Nuketown coming up, which is great, because you don't have to go into Nuketown 24/7 and be stuck in games like TDM and whatnot. So if you want to drop a 50 bomb, you can go into Hardpoint and pray that you get Nuketown. So that's kind of leads into the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is game modes. And there are a couple good game modes for it. You want to pick, obviously, some longer game modes to give yourself the most amount of time to drop your 50 bomb. And Hardpoint is a good one. Another good one is Safeguard. Now, that being said, Safeguard's kind of either or, because Safeguard games can be really long or they can be really short. They can be like 20 minutes or they can be 5 minutes. And that's all up to luck, but if you play in Safeguard enough, you will get some good long gameplays where you can drop some 50 bombs, and possibly 60s and maybe 70s. So, that being said, Domination is a good one as well. If you get a close game, if you get a fast game where one team pretty much trip capping the whole way, it's not going to be the best. But, you know, you can never get the best game mode. Same thing with Hardpoint. If somebody's, you know, pretty much holding the Hardpoint the entire time, it's going to be hard, because the game's going to go by pretty fast. And luckily for this one, I believe the final score was 250 to 226, so that ends up actually being a pretty close game. Now that pretty much wraps up all I wanted to talk about. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, tell me how I'm doing. If you really enjoyed, I'd really appreciate that sub. But unfortunately here, my theater mode kind of cut out here. I don't know why, but it wouldn't get the rest of the gameplay for me. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.